for asking
Well,
the
thank you.
question.
I don't know if Ms. Rinaldi, you want to add anything? We are waiting for a couple of colleagues. I mean, I have other questions, but we're waiting for Senator Schmidt, Bud, and Lujan to join us momentarily. So, but did you have a comment on that, on this legacy network? My concern here is that, you know, we're talking about these big issues. I loved the optimization repositioning by Mr. Johnson, because that is truly what we're talking about. We're talking about how do we optimize, and sure, you can be a top-down government like China and dictate things. It doesn't mean it's the right thing. Clearly, interoperability is the key in us figuring that out and then leading on it in an articulation internationally, also the key. It is challenging to go to various places and explain to them why they might have bought something that is not going to be the standard of the future, because no one is going to let a government backdoor be the standard of the future. It's unfortunate that that has been someone's international policy to try to go and deploy that. But nonetheless, I do think that collaboration is the key, because that's what we have to do to get the implementation of the next generation technology. We have to collaborate. And as you can see, this is a subject where not everybody has wanted to collaborate. So I'm glad we're getting some collaboration this morning. But did you want to say anything about this legacy network from a geographic perspective of what that does to put people behind? Because I think that's really what my two colleagues from the Central West were describing. And I think of them as two powerhouses. We have some investors from our state that are trying to build next-generation modular reactors in Wyoming, and obviously Boulder is already an epicenter of next-generation energy technology. What does that do to put a region behind if they're sitting there with a legacy technology squarely not dealt with?
Yeah, so I would say I worked at the House Intelligence Committee for the authors of the Waller Report. We've been studying this since 2012. And it just confounds me that it's taking this long to see movement in this space. But it just shows how important it is for government to collaborate with industry and to be able to pass that information. My old boss, the one that wrote the report, said he had his first briefing and realized that this needed to get out in the public sector. Hence, they wrote the classified and the unclassified. Through Open RAN, I would say that there's been a lot of change. There has been a lot of information sharing to the public sector since then, so we need to make sure that continues going forward. To collaborate, we are all in this together. Again, I think
But how far does it put a region behind if it still is one of these regions that has a legacy problem? I mean, aren't people just going to say, I'm going to go somewhere else? And here we are trying to expand more development in more places. There is a lot of innovation to take place in the United States of America. And I personally believe you got to have a few things like airports, but you certainly also have to have networks that are free of any kind of government backdoors.
Yeah, absolutely. And right, connectivity is the base of the entire foundation of our economic ecosystem. If we can't get that right, then we struggle having other things fall in place, like the airports, our transportation networks. So it's critical that we do this, we do it right.
So do you think people are looking at those regions now and raising questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting. Okay. Senator Lujan.